everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ariane and I am a luxury travel advisor based in Vancouver, Canada. And today I am so sad. It is disembarkation day on the Majestic Princess, which means I have to leave the ship in about 2 hours. So yeah, it's a very sad day. I had an amazing time. Hopefully you are able to watch the rest of the videos in this series. I have linked them in a playlist in the description box below, so if you haven't seen those videos, be sure to check that out. And I am now packing. So getting packed, I already went upstairs, had a quick bite to eat. Definitely not very hungry, so just grabbed a latte and an almond croissant and a small omelette. So now I'm just gonna get finished packed up and probably head downstairs again, grab another latte, hang out for a little while. Once I do leave the ship, we go through, I guess, US Customs, and then I will be getting my PCR test. So Princess Cruises is covering my PCR test to get home. They're doing that for most travelers right now who do need either an antigen test or a PCR test to go home to your onward country or state. So I think that that's great. Currently that's what they're doing. Depends when you are watching this video. Things obviously could change. So definitely go to the Princess Cruises website and make sure with the health advisories that the information is still correct. So let's get finished packed up and go downstairs. So quick update. I am all packed up, ready to go, and I'm actually going to go now, I'm going to leave the ship, try to get my COVID test, and try to see if I can get on an earlier flight home. So let's go see if this works, because my flight out of Los Angeles right now is at 5:45 p.m. and I know that there's an earlier flight that leaves around 1. I still might have some time to get my COVID test, grab a lift to the airport, and get on an earlier flight because I'm just carry-on. So let's go see if this works. If not, I'm definitely going to try to get into a lounge. All right, so we'll see you guys at the airport. So obviously I'm now back at home, and I just wanted to kind of give you a recap of what happened after I left the Majestic Princess. So essentially what happened was I did leave the ship. It was very easy to leave the ship. You basically take your medallion and you just tap out and they wish you a safe trip, and then you're off the ship. What happened afterwards was a little bit frustrating. So a few times I did go down to the guest services and I did ask about the COVID testing, obviously, because I did want to leave to try to catch that earlier flight home. Essentially what happened, they told me that the testing was ready to go and that all I simply had to do was get off the ship, picked up my baggage, which I didn't have any, so I didn't have to worry about that, go through US Customs, and just on the other side of US Customs there should be signs of where I should go to get my COVID testing done. So after I left the ship, as I said, I tapped out with my medallion. I didn't have to pick up my baggage because I was just doing carry-off. Then I did go through US Customs, which was very easy. But then I couldn't find any of the signs to direct me of where to get tested. So I did ask a few people and they didn't know. They did have to ask a few other people, and they were telling me that I had to go back down towards the terminal where you check in for your cruise, and that's where the testing was going to be. So I did exit the terminal I was in where US Customs was, and I walked back towards the check-in terminal for the cruise, and there they weren't really sure what was happening, which was quite frustrating if I'm going to be honest. They basically had to ask a few people and said yes, that it looks like this is where the testing was going to be happening. However, the security guards hadn't started, they hadn't even arrived yet. So we were supposed to at that time go through security to enter the terminal to go get tested, which I thought was a bit strange. And then we were told that the testing company hadn't even arrived yet. This was 7:20 in the morning. By the time I was at the terminal and trying to figure things out, it was about 7:40. So getting off the ship really didn't take very long. But it was then trying to figure out about the testing and what was happening. A few minutes later, the line and the crowd started to get a bit larger because of other Canadians needing their tests as well. And we were then told that they were going to be setting up in the tent that we were kind of all sitting in, because there was a makeshift tent there, that there were just tables and chairs randomly put in places, and some of the older clientele, they were sitting there so that they didn't have to continually stand. So the testing company did arrive. They arrived at around 8:30, so we were standing around for almost an hour until they told us that they were actually going to be setting up in the tent we were in. Then once they finally got kind of set up, they started to take our registrations at 9 o'clock. But there was no rhyme or reason as to how the line was, and the tent was getting very packed with people, and the line was getting very long. I did finally get my test done at 10:15, and I did get my results around 10:45. They unfortunately only had limited PCR testing units. I believe they only started off with 10. For all of us Canadians. There was quite a few of us in line. I think they were assuming that they would be doing more antigen tests than PCR. So anyone that needed a antigen test, because they were doing a back-to-back cruise, they were kind of able to kind of get started, as all of us waiting for PCR tests were just kind of waiting. So yeah, from what I understand, things have changed. We were the first cruise in and out of Los Angeles for this season. There was definitely some growing pains, I think, which was very unfortunate. The other thing that I would say is make sure you go to the washroom before you leave the ship, just in case, especially if you are needing to get a test, because there were no washrooms or porta potties or anything available to us, and I really had to use the washroom. Lucky enough, I saw one of the Princess transfers. I didn't have a Princess transfer. I was planning on taking a Lyft, Uber Lyft back to the airport. Luckily, I saw one of the coaches, and I know that those coaches have washrooms on board. So I asked her if I could use the washroom on the coach, and luckily, even though I didn't have a transfer, she saw that I had an Air Canada tag on my baggage, and she's like, are you flying with Air Canada? And I said, yeah. And she's like, oh, so you don't have a transfer? I'm like, no, I just need to use the washroom, and then I'll get a lift to the airport. She's like, oh, just hop on, and you can use the washroom and they'll take you to the airport. So that was really, really, really kind of Princess and that woman to allow me to do that. But I could only, I was really thinking of my clients at that point, and how some of my older clientele, how they would do in that situation. So I did give that feedback to Princess, and from what I understand, the testing on all the other cruises since then has been better. but I did want to give you my honest opinion on kind of what happened there. Also, I am so very grateful that Princess did allow me to come on board and experience the Majestic Princess. It was my first cruise since the pandemic, and I did feel very safe. Everybody was highly recommended to wear masks in all the public areas. There were signs posted where masks were required. And where masks were required at the time of my sailing was in when you were entering the restaurants, the theater, casinos. Masks obviously were not required out on deck, but it was a fully vaccinated cruise. It was a requirement that you did need to provide an antigen test or a PCR test within 2 days of your sailing, and then obviously you did have to be fully vaccinated. They did check that proof upon check-in. I will say that the medallion is a game changer. It really truly is I think the technology of the medallion is really, really good for cruises, and I really hope that other cruise lines do adopt a medallion-like technology. When it worked, of course. As I mentioned in some of my previous videos, the app was a bit glitchy. I did have to uninstall the app and reinstall it on day 2 of my cruise because nothing was working. Once I did do that, I was able to order food, order drinks. The app also, you can order items for your cabin, so extra towels, robes, etc. And also if you had any maintenance issues, you could let them know through the app as well. Where it was a little bit glitchy, or where the service I found was a little bit lacking, was definitely the speed in which when you ordered something, especially food, it took quite a while. So our cruise was obviously 1,400 passengers and there was about 1,200 crew, so it was almost a 1-to-1 guest to crew ratio. So I was a little bit shocked when I ordered guacamole and it took basically 40 minutes to get to me. I'd heard from other clients and other friends who have been on other Princess cruises that they're kind of having the same issues right now. So that is a bit of a shame. I was definitely ready to move on 20 minutes in, which I probably should have tested that theory because really they're supposed to kind of track where you are on the ship. So I probably could have moved on and it would have been delivered to wherever I was at that time. However, I could have went to the buffet or the World Marketplace and got the chips and guacamole probably 3 times over from where I was on the ship when I ordered it. So a little bit disappointing with that. The drinks didn't take too long. I think the longest I had to wait for a drink when I ordered it through the app was about 10 minutes. So that was okay. Most of the time it was about 5 minutes, and that was very fast. Overall, I had an amazing cruise and I really enjoyed my experience. I really hope you enjoyed this series on my experience sailing on the Majestic Princess with Princess Cruises. Again, I was hosted on board by Princess, so because I wasn't compensated in any way, I did want to make sure that this review and these vlogs were my honest experience and an honest viewpoint in how my cruise was. So there is a lot coming up on my channel. My next vlog that you'll see next Sunday is actually on Costa Rica, so I'm very excited to be bringing you that series. So that will go on for the next few weeks. And then I am off to Miami. I am heading on a Virgin Voyage cruise in December, and then in January I was invited to check out and cruise with Windstar Cruises. So I'll be cruising an itinerary around the Virgin Islands in the Caribbean on the Star Legend, which has just been renovated. The ship was actually cut in half, so I'm very excited to check out that totally renovated Windstar ship and very excited for the experience. The food and the service is really amazing on Windstar. I've been on board a Windstar cruise, but I actually haven't sailed on a Windstar cruise. So again, I'm very excited for that. And then obviously the Virgin Voyage cruise, like I mentioned in December, that's on the Virgin Voyage's Scarlet Lady. That is on a Western Caribbean itinerary. So definitely make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. There is a lot coming up on my channel, and thank you again so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. We'll see you again next week. Bye!